Welcome to the Trail Manners Podcast, the place where the trail community comes alive. I'm your host, Eric Manning, coming to you from the beautiful trails of Ogden, Utah, and connecting you to the trail, ultra, and mountain running community everywhere. Since 2015, we've been chasing dirt, vert, and stories that inspire, from epic adventures to everyday trail legends. So now, it's that time to top off your water, grab some cheese curds, and join us for this week's podcast where we take you deep into the heart of our sport. It's go time. Okay, you're at episode number 340 of the Trail Manners Podcast. We got a launch date of October 21st, 2025. I'm your host, Eric Manning, and today in the studio, we've got Jim Skaggs.
Hello.
Jim's been on the show a few times. Both a runner. We'll just call you a runner and an RD. We'll leave all the other stuff out. Like family man and wheat grower and beekeeper.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, we'll leave all that to itself. So this episode's pretty special. We're coming at it from a couple days out from the Antelope Island 50K and Mountain View Half Marathon trail races on Antelope Island. So, Jim, you've done the Buffalo Run spring and fall races, the Logan Peak race, the Harriman trail race, the Frary Peak Hill Climb.
Yes, which may be resurrected.
Oh, I was going to ask about that. And then you did there's a time you did some weekly races on the BST here.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah. That's what it takes sometimes. It's just the timing might have been off. But you're no stranger to race directing.
Sure.
And so Buffalo Run, the first year was 2006.
Correct.
So you're about 20 years.
20 years this year.
Put that race on.
Yes.
Yeah, so 20 years of doing that race. You are leaving Utah. You've left Utah. You're just back to visit for a race.
Yes.
And so you're done with the races. One more.
One more of these races.
Yep. I like the sound of that. These races. So let me ask you this. 20-something years ago, you moved to Utah from Illinois.
Yes.
And what made you were an ultra runner at the time. Why did you decide to start a race and two on Antelope Island?
I started volunteering out on Antelope Island and discovered that they had all these neat trails. And I thought, this would be a cool place for a race. And so I asked the park about it, and they were like, we'll let you do it. So they did, and the rest is history, I guess.
So it's taken on many forms, though, like days of the week. It started, it was only a 25K. The first.
No, I actually had a 50K the first year.
Did you? Okay.
25K and 50K the first year.
I only remember I ran the 25K the first year. Maybe I just don't want to think about the 50K because that was my first ever trail race.
Yep.
So the first year you did have the 50K.
Correct.
Okay, so 25K and 50K the first year. Different starting point than the last couple starting points, right?
Yeah. So the starting points moved several times.
Yeah.
Over the years.
And that's out of necessity and growth on the island. So one of the things, too, that I find interesting is talking to a lot of people. I grew up here, but I was not a trail runner. Like I said, your race was my first ever trail race of my life in 2006. A friend of mine, Scott Jaime, recommended it. He goes, hey, I just saw this new race opened up, and he was getting me into trail running. The visitorship for people on bikes and foot, like running, didn't seem high. Like people didn't go out there and do that. It was hiking, horseback riding.
No, it's interesting. So I was a volunteer for 20 plus years out there on their trail patrol. So I go out Saturdays and Sundays and such, and trail patrol is just what it sounds like. You go out and hike around on the trails, or in my case, I would run the trails. And a lot of times, if I saw another runner, it was like, ooh, I wonder who that is.
Yeah, right.
Do I know him?
I want to get to know that guy, girl.
and I might see him all the way across the valley out there and wonder. And, of course, there's lots of horseback riding out there all the time. It's a great place to do that. But yeah, there weren't too many runners that I saw, and there really wasn't too many mountain bikes either the first few years.
Seems like there was more probably on the road, like the road biking.
Coming
out on the causeway.
Yeah, it's always been popular out there. Ride down to the ranch and back. It's a nice ride.
So from just say like 2006 as Trail Patrol, when you would see on the island on a Saturday or Sunday compared to today on a Saturday and Sunday, isn't it just hard to believe?
It's unreal.
Yeah.
You go to the White Rock day use parking area back then, and maybe 4 or 5 cars, a couple of horse trailers. Now you go out, especially in the wintertime, fall, winter, early spring. You go out there on a Saturday, and that parking lot is packed.
Yep.
And it's packed with bikes, bikers, and runners, and then the equestrian lot's packed as well. So it's really exploded in the last 20 years.
And they've got new trails since your first year too, right? There's some new trail segments.
Some.
Yeah.
They put that one section in. They rerouted the first part some.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put a new trail in on the other side of that front hill.
Yep.
So that's new.
But your other option before that one was coming down Bone Road.
Yes.
And that was just not necessarily as fun. The
certainly
trail
not.
is super nice now. It's like rolly. It's fun. It cuts in and out.
Yeah. That hill on the back side is really neat. And I remember when that went in, the park manager asked me to go run it. They had flagged it, so I went and did it cross country style. Just there was no trail. Went back and told him that's going to be an ideal trail. Put it in, and so they did.
And it is.
And it is a really neat trail. The other trail that they haven't put it in, it already existed, was and it's an old ranch road that goes from the ranch up Century Peak, down the other side, down the west side of the island, and then turns and heads north and connects to the top of the switchbacks. And that whole area from the Century Trail all the way to the top of the switchbacks used to be closed to the public.
Yeah.
And it's now open to the public. There is a seasonal closure for calving season in the spring, but other than that, it's open to the public, and I think it's actually one of the prettier sides of the island.
So that backside, so when you're doing the 25K, once you get to the top of the switchbacks past Elephant Head, and you cut back down in the valley, that part of your 50K course in the fall, right, is now an open trail.
Yes.
Seasonally.
Yes.
Where before you couldn't go back there unless you were special, like a Trail Patrol or knew a Trail Patrol person.
Yes. Or in the early years of this fall race, that was still closed, and so it was kind of special because the park let me use that.
Yeah, I remember that part, like talking to people, because the first couple of years of that, back when there was times you'd have to go on the mud flat. Mm-hmm. That's kind of changed based on weather as well, because that's something you can never guarantee on the island anyway. But where you have your races in March and November, that's even more of a wild card out there.
Oh, yeah.
So you never know because I remember so vividly, and fortunately, and partly why, because it was my first race, is I'd never done a trail run in my life. And I remember training on the trails here in Ogden, and coming to find out later, I wasn't really on the trails. I was on the fire roads. I didn't know there's a trail above it. That's how novice I was. Had no one helping me. And I got to that race petrified as could be. For the longest I've ever potentially ran. Didn't know nutrition at the time. Totally different back then. And it was raining, kind of snowing. And I had I still have some pictures from it. When I look back now, being a complete gear nerd, like all the gear I love and what I was wearing then, I crack up. I had some like 8-inch long Patagonia shorts. I had a Nike, I don't know, some basketball jacket that I thought was waterproof because it was slick, which it proved to be. And I had a headband ear warmer on. That was how awesome I looked that day. But the best part is I had nutrition. I had a Ziploc baggie with Heed from Hammer electrolyte drink, and I stuffed it in my side pocket. Well, it opened in the race, and the powder went out. It was rain and snow, and so I just had this paste ripping my hair every time I took a step. And I just will never forget how far we've come as a society, that now we've got actual ways to carry nutrition and clothing that works. But I just remember how fun it was, because I finished, and when I say that, I locked myself out of my car. I was soaking wet, had stuff all over me. You didn't have warming tents. It was a pavilion at the time, I think, is what we really had that first year. And I was there for 3 hours before I had somebody come and unlock my but And I'm like, God, this is the greatest non-experience of day of my life. Like, it was just horrible. It was horrible. And I thought, I can't wait to do it again. But that was my gateway.
Kind of weird, aren't we?
Yeah, that was my gateway to it, for sure. But when you started the races back, in 2006, and and we're kind of focused a little bit more on the Buffalo Run for sure, because we got the one coming up this weekend. But could you imagine in your head where it would go? Did you think, because there wasn't a lot of races around this community at the time, the location, the Antelope Island, such a great place for a race, it's so unique, did you think it would grow to what it had, or did you think maybe it'd grow bigger? Or
I don't know that I had any thoughts on where it would go. I just thought, hey, this is a cool place to put on a race. The first year, I was really nervous about even selling entries,
okay,
let alone selling it out like I did. Yeah, it was, and it just grew every year for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And until there, got to be more options. But those first several years, I really had no idea. At one time, it was the biggest trail race in Utah.
Yeah, because I'm thinking in 2006, and I should have done my research, but I know we had like Squaw Peak, or now Snow Peak.
Right.
We had Wasatch 100.
Mm-hmm. I think Logan Peak had just started.
Did it? Okay, because that was from somebody else first.
Right, but there was nothing in
the Ogden, Salt
Ogden
Lake
area, and not in the March time frame.
Yeah, because it was an early season. Because I remember back then even more, it was like, it's a lot different than now. Every time I think about it, there was an off season in trail running. People didn't run, or there wasn't races around this area anyway, for sure, from like November to February. Moab Red Hot opened, and that was like, everybody showed up to that race because it was the first time people were out and about together again.
Yep.
Now we've changed where we have no off season. People are racing, running all the time, but there just wasn't a lot. Because I remember, because it was when I first got into trail running, and I just remember Wasatch. I think Kachina was one.
Yes.
Squaw Peak at the time, Snow Peak now. Was the Bear?
Yeah, the Bear
Infancy.
was going.
It was pretty new still.
The Bear was on the original course.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
if you
that's
remember
right.
that, the old course.
Yeah, in Idaho, too,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't a lot of options, period, on the trail side, especially at that distance, because we did have the 50-mile, 100K, 100-mile, but there wasn't a lot of the smaller 25K, 50K style races that I can remember.
Yep.
And that was a while ago. But I do remember, because you had that for a few years, and then you brought in the 50-mile and the 100-mile.
Yeah.
And those were pretty well received too. An early season 100 that I always tell people is more runnable than some, but it's not easy. I hate running, so for me it's like worse. But those came on, and you kind of brought even a different crowd too.
Yeah.
And so that kept growing. Did you ever think you'd be doing it 20 years?
Well, like I said, I just really didn't think that far ahead.
Just year to year?
At one time, I remember remarking to my wife, "Yeah, this would be a good retirement gig."
Oh, I remember you saying that for me actually before.
And now I'm retired from race directing, and retired from my day job.
So you're just retired?
I'm just retired. I'm just a lazy bum now.
I got plenty of time to jump on a podcast.
Yeah.
But over that course of time, though, I think one of the unique things too with any community, and people that are listening, I'm sure in your area you've got something similar, is you slowly grow this community of people, not just the race and the running, because you've always had, especially early on, you had what are considered now, we used to call them more of an elite runner. Now they're called pros more.
Right.
But you had some of that come out. You had Nikki Kimball come out with her crew doing a film one year.
Yep.
You've had Scott Hymes and I think Dylan Bowman.
Bowman held the 50-mile record up until this spring.
Yeah, so you've had some of that, but I think what's been fun is watching the growth of this little micro community that turned big between runners, families, volunteers, through the aid stations that you've had. And that was the thing that I remember you would just see every year. Your finish lines weren't big productions. It was just people with ice chests and chairs sitting, drinking their favorite beverages, prefer mostly beer, at the finish line and just having a good time. It's just like, it's where you'd hang out and see your friends.
Yes.
And
a lot of times it was the first time you'd seen them all winter.
Yep.
And that's one of the big things that I looked forward to every year with the Buffalo Run was seeing people that I hadn't seen in months and that I had become friends with. And it was just such a joy to see them.
Well, and you'd have people come from other states regularly. Yes. Chris and from Jackson area, and he'd always run and just beat everybody. It was his first time out from Jackson, of the year. But you'd have people that were regulars from out of state. That would show up.
Think about the three that would come over from Hawaii. About every year. Every year they would come over from Hawaii just to run the Buffalo Run, and that was a lot of fun to see them every year.
Well, I think too, like we kind of mentioned, is the island is just unique. Mm-hmm. It's just a unique area. There's bison, there's bighorn sheep,
antelope.
I mean, hopefully for Antelope Island. Yeah, I mean, it's a neat ecosystem out there.
It is.
Of what you can do that's not normal, obviously, in our area unless you go there. And then I think everybody still gets surprised that there's an island in Utah. I think that's a big thing too. But it's one of those, it's always been, which I've appreciated because of my style, just super low key, not a big blow up thing. One thing you never really jumped into is the sponsor world.
Because I suck at getting sponsors.
But I think you might not be good at it, but it also kept it what it is. Yes. Right. And that's, I think, preserving, because what's your tagline for your races? It's
homegrown free range running.
Yeah. And that's kind of what it was. It was like the rawest of trail races.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is year 20, it resembles year 1 in a lot of ways. Very much so, in a good way.
That's because I'm too lazy to make a big production out of it.
But I think that's why people like it, though. Like, I think if it turned into too much of a production, it might take away from what you'd done, right? And it's not your style. Let's put it that way.
Not my style.
Yeah, I mean, we all know how you feel about discount codes for races.
They're stupid.
I think that's one of my funnest things is when people ask about discount codes, like, what do you need discount code for?
Yeah.
But you think about it. Do you ask for discounts at Red Lobster because you like food? Hey, I like to run. I want to race. Give me a discount.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, well, I like cheaper
if you
food.
need discount codes to attract people to your race, then you aren't doing something right.
Yeah, because you'd never had it. You sold out for a long time. You had because it had changed, it was all the races were on one day or 1 week, one day, like 25K, right. 50K, 50 mile. And then it kind of changed based on caps for the island.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, and I think there'd be no disagreements, would be what volume you brought to the island. And I think also the people that went there that would return for other reasons, right? The island's grown. Like they've got IMAX theaters coming out there now and more camping and water. I mean, they've got it all coming now. They've turned into a state park.
Not a backwater state park.
Yeah, right. And the other fun things, because I've been fortunate to get to know you and Karen, and is the fun that's had not just race day, but before and after. So there's days of, in your shop stuffing bags, and you would send out the call, at the time it was probably a text, and say, hey, race bag, my house, Thursday, 7 p.m., got pizza. And
pizza and beer.
Pizza and beer. And there'd be 20 people show up.
Yep.
And we'd walk in circles. Wish I GPS'd it. We'd walk in circles for hours stuffing bags.
So it seemed.
Yeah, it did seem.
I don't think we ever spent much more than maybe an hour and a half.
Because you always got a good draw. And I think the fun part for me is you would get the same group, and we always look forward to that part of it. I mean, I remember texting you before. I was like, hey, when you stuffing bags?
Right, yeah.
And it's like, why am I doing this? This is crazy. But then it got fun because then we started getting creative and saying, you know what? This is so-and-so's bag. I know them. How about we put in a piece of scrap wood from Jim's shop in their pickup bag?
Oh, yeah. That was always fun. Sawdust.
Extra top ramen noodles.
2x4. Yeah. Bag of ramen.
We gave Scott Jaime a crushed PBR can after we drank it.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember that.
But those are some of the fun things, I think, that, not everybody gets to see, but kind of encapsulates something that you and Karen built over the years. So with saying that, what were some of the changes you started to notice from like 2006, maybe even today? What are some changes that you've seen over the years?
As far as putting on the race out there?
Yeah, let's start there. Like putting on the race. What are some changes you've seen?
Obviously, in 20 years, I've seen 4 park managers, 5 assistant managers now. Every park manager brings their own take to the park. And of course, they not only do they bring their own take to it, but they're also dictated to from above. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things was back in was it post-COVID? Might have been just before COVID. Everybody that puts on a special event out there got a note that said, hey, starting next year, no special events on weekends or holidays.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was just, visitorship out on the island exploded.
Yeah.
When I first started out there in 2006, visitorship was about 250,000 a year. In 2020, it was over 1 million.
Wow.
I think it's down to, the last I heard, it's come down to about 800,000.
Wow.
But still, that's
still huge.
Huge. And what happened is that it would get so busy out there on the weekends, especially Saturday, that the park infrastructure, the roads, the parking facilities, the entry station would back up a half a mile.
Wow.
People trying to get in. And so they said that to all of us that did special events and said, you have to do them during the week. So I had to move my races to Thursday and Friday. Mm-hmm. Thursday start for the 100-miler and Friday for everything else. And obviously that cost me a huge number of runners.
Yeah.
And in fact, I looked at the numbers, and it was an average of 200 a year.
Wow.
That I dropped.
Yeah.
For the years that I did it. The other thing is I did have limits imposed on me initially, but they'd raise them every year. And then finally we had a park manager that said, how many do you think you could get out here? And I said, I don't know, 400, 500. I had 550 that year, and it just kind of blew my mind. And eventually I had over 800 one year. And that was just craziness. We pulled it off well. But man, we were tired when we got done.
And that's between the 25K, 50K, 50-mile, 100-mile, right?
Yes.
Distances. Yeah. So that one race on that one weekend.
One race on that one weekend, Friday, Saturday. Friday, 100-mile start, Saturday, everything else. But yeah, that, and now we're back to park management that is encouraging events. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. They're encouraging more events. They are trying to get more people out there. They let me go back to Saturdays.
Nice.
So that's nice. But they're also being told what to do by the legislature. Mm-hmm. So naturally, all my fees are going up. And not by a little bit, quite a bit. Which is unfortunate, really, because it gets passed on to the runner. Mm-hmm. But it's just been interesting that even with all of the different managers, they've all been pretty supportive of the races out there. And they know that we do a good job, and we're not going to trash the place. And it's been an interesting ride for the last 20 years with the ups and downs and twists and turns.
Well, you mentioned it a little bit that I think goes to say is, you talk about the fees going up, so you have to raise the prices. But when you look at the prices of your events, they are definitely below market standard.
Yes, and that's by design.
Yeah. So give me, and I don't know this year, your 100-mile race, what's the cost for that?
Oh, goodness. I think before Ultra signed up through their fee on and the state wanted their cut, I think it was $240.
Yeah, and that's for the 100-mile. Now, I've seen there's a 100-mile, I'm not naming the names because what it is, but I just saw one. I think it just opened in the last couple of days, a big 100-miler, and I think they're $500. And that with fees, obviously, but I mean, $500 compared to $200 and half price, right? And you're still, you don't chintz on anything for that cost. So people still get their shirt, they still get well-stocked aid stations, they get on the island, which is a fee because it is a state park. And I think that's all across the board. So all your races, when you look at them, comparable. And this is how it's always been. Fees have always been, to me, without going nationwide, like some of the lowest, like well below market standard for sure. And what's the biggest reason behind that? Because that's driven by you drive that.
Yes. Races are a luxury item for all of us. I mean, they're not something that we need to live. It's not food, it's not water, it's not housing. So it's a luxury item. Not everybody can afford $500 for a 100-miler or whatever's being charged for 200-mile races nowadays.
And that's just the race. When you're talking that, you got to talk lodging, travel, food. So a 500-mile race, now you're looking at close to $1,000 if you're out of town, right?
Yes.
So that's what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's always been my take that I want to cater to every person. I love to see elites come to my races. It's fun. Yeah. I mean, they come, they have a good time, they run. It's great to have a beer with them afterwards and chat with them for a bit.
Yeah.
But I want to see the middle of the pack runners like myself show up and be treated the same way.
Yeah.
And part of that is the entry fee. We all have a, what do you call it, a choke point as far as entry fees.
Yeah.
And my choke point is not that high, which is why I don't race very often. And I just want to do whatever I can to make it affordable to as many people as possible that want to come out and do it.
Yeah. No, I think that's what's great about it, because it is sometimes that gets passed up. But if you are traveling, which most of us have to do for other races, I mean, between the fee and the travel, it's a commitment.
It is.
Right. And then do I have pacers come? Do I have crews show up? And that's another commitment level. Yes. So I don't know. Fortunately, Buffalo Run's right in my backyard, so that's never been an issue. But the fee is a big deal, especially in today's world where everything's changing. And, now people are, not wanting to buy things that aren't, luxury items or can't afford it. Right. And it is, that's what's interesting with the races. They are luxury. But I think what makes your race fun, and we've said it before, is your entry fee. You get into the race, but it's almost like you're entering into your community with the people again. Yeah. It is pretty unique, and we see that. And the other fun thing you do is prize money for some of your events. Right?
Well, all my events.
All your events have prize money, but I like your twist on the prize money. How do you do that?
Yeah. It's not super well known, but I saw and I don't remember the name of it's an ultra out of Colorado. Started it, and I thought that is something. So I do it too. I pay 20% more to the women. And yeah, it's got a few people up in arms, but then most everybody is like, yeah, that's fine. And my reasoning for that is that when you look at the data in this country, on average, given educational levels, taking into account child raising, but education, skill, et cetera, on average, women are paid about 20% less than men, all things being equal.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of my little poke in the eye to the man.
No, I've always thought that was fun when you started doing that. I'm like, that's awesome. You know, I mean, it doesn't affect anybody. Maybe three guys.
The ones that complain about it are the ones that don't run my races, and the ones that would never have a shot at the prize money anyway, such as myself.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I've always liked your approach to your races. If you don't like it, don't run it. That's kind of your mentality. Like when people call or email and, hey, this, that, and the other, like, well, don't come.
Yeah, don't run it. You have plenty of choices out there.
Yeah. And I think that's also changed, right? I mean, we talked about that earlier is, you know, back in 2006, literally probably the only race in March around here. Now you've got races on both sides of you, March, you know, February, March, April. Now there's January kind of close by. So that's changed even with which I've always liked. I know you've talked about like registration numbers. There's so many variables. You talk moving to Thursday, Friday, that's going to draw. You have to take more vacation. I mean, also, you know, people don't realize like there's volunteers, you know, that people have to take off work just to volunteer on a Thursday, right? Like that's tough. You know, so you've fought moving the days, more races coming in, but I think you've always stayed kind of in that ballpark of where you've been, right? Where you want to be number wise. People still show up. Right, whether it's because they want to better their time on the course, whether they step up one from 25K to 50K or 50K to 100 or 50 mile, and you know their friends are there, right? And there's a good cost to it, you know, or not a high cost to it. How about the races and the sport in general? Like we talked about a little bit what you went through with like the park and the dates and things like that. But what's some of the changes you've seen with the sport of trail running? And maybe even just your races from a race director perspective, you know, race logistically. What have you seen changes over the years?
Well, obviously the biggest is that the sport has exploded, so to speak. Running in general has exploded, but I don't know what the current numbers are in the United States as far as trail race entries. I think Ultra Running Magazine publishes that every year, kind of have their data issue, if you will. But the last I saw, there was something, and this has been a number of years, 50,000 people ran a trail race in the entire year. And you think, wow, that's a lot of people. There were more than that probably ran New York Marathon.
Right.
And then you got LA Marathon and Chicago and da-da-da-da-da. So, yeah, the sport has exploded, but it's still small.
Yeah.
The one thing I've noticed since I started running ultras, I ran my first ultra in 1993, and it was a 50-mile, and told my wife I'd never do something that stupid again. But that was a very, very, very niche sport. Yeah. When I ran my first 100, the number of people that ran a 100-mile race that entire year, and we're talking 2002, 1,100 people finished a 100-miler that year.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
That's all. When I first started running Wasatch in 2006, all you did was you hurried up and made sure you got your entry in the mail on January 2nd because they went by the postmark. And they took the first, 350 runners. And that went on until, they finally got so many that it was like, well, we need to go to a lottery. Yeah. So then I was subject to the lottery.
Yeah.
And one year I didn't make it in, so I just volunteered. But just the sheer numbers. I mean, look at the number of people that apply to get into Western States.
I know.
How many tickets do you have to have on average to get into Western States now? I'm guessing it's probably 256, 512. Same thing with Hard Rock.
Well, I looked at the Hard Rock entry numbers based on entering the lottery,
right?
Not entrance, but 2,762 people are in the lottery.
For
Hard Rock.
140 spots?
Yeah, 140, 150 spots, and that's not like saying tickets, but 2,700 people for 140 spots right now. And that's Hard Rock. I mean, obviously Western's a lot different beast. But that's changed.
And I have 128 tickets for Hard Rock, and I never got in.
Yeah. So some changes, like the people-wise, like we've seen, you're talking numbers, but what about the people themselves? Like,
it's interesting. I haven't. If you look at the people that run ultras, that I don't know that I've seen a change there in terms of personalities.
Yeah.
Just in general. I mean, you get into road running, you hear all the tropes about road runners and all that. And you hear the tropes about trail runners as well, and how trail runners are always helpful and
laid back
and all that. And that really hasn't changed. I think even amongst the elites, I mean, they're obviously
variables and everything.
Right. But even amongst the elites, I think there's a certain laid back nature to them. They're obviously very intense with their running, but I think it just attracts a certain personality type, and that certain personality type is. It's interesting. I say laid back, and everybody talks about ultra running. What dumb thing are we doing next? One of my friends is running Pony 50 mile tomorrow and coming out and running my 50K on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
She's always talking about, this is a dumb idea. And I'm like, no, it's not really.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at ultra runners, we think things through.
Yeah.
We think.
Sometimes too much.
Well, they are that too. But, we're not dummies. Yeah. It's what I'm saying. And we just like to push ourselves and see what our limits are.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, I know when I first started, again, this is 2006, so different than your timeline, but it was that stereotype of dirt bag, sleeping in a closet,
that's still out there.
But then you also started a start line, and on your right, you've got a lawyer, attorney. On the left, you've got, some kid, fresh out of college, and you've got the person behind you that, just lost their job. And I mean, it's just such a fun mix of people.
Yes.
But you don't know that when you're standing next to them. You're all the same. And I think for me, the change I've noticed the most is, and maybe it's because I am older, but it seems like there's a lot more youth in the trail running world. Like it's, when I first started, it was definitely more seasoned runners, maybe came from the road or, really had poor friends that enticed them to come over, but you just didn't see 20-year-olds,
No, you didn't.
20, 21, 22, that type of thing. And now, I mean, you're reading left and right about, Adam Wolf just did the Rocky Mountain Slam at 18, right? Yeah. That type of stuff. And that's becoming more normal.
I don't know about normal, but certainly, because that's not normal.
No, it's Well, this is a trail running, so the word normal.
Okay, well, yeah. As far as trail and ultra running, that could be considered normal. Society as a whole, no.
No.
Adam's awesome for doing that.
Yeah, but you're seeing more of those, like just the youth
the
coming
age has
through.
Dropped.
Yeah, the age is but the fun part is I think you're on the top end. It's heavier too. Like you've got older because they've been doing it since they were 30, right? And they just don't want to give it up, and they don't need to.
Yeah, it's fun.
We've got Jim McGregor locally in 80, and he's still out chugging, and you see him all the time doing it. But he was doing it earlier too. So I think you love the sport, you stay in it for a long time, you love the community, but now the community is definitely just like you mentioned there's a younger variant in it a little bit. And that's fun to see too, because it's just introducing people. Because I think if you're a trail and ultra runner, I think at the end of the day, you look at your, the community and think, this is such a great community. Just good, solid people. And to see young people come up, that's good, solid people. It gives you hope.
It does. It does.
It gives you hope to say the sport's in good hands. Maybe pieces of the world are in good hands, depending on what they go into.
Yeah.
But that's probably the biggest change I've seen. And then, Fortunately, however you want to look at it, the race scene has changed dramatically in how many there are. I think we've seen changes with like live streaming, people owning multiple races, where it's a living, which you understand, it's a business, right? But I've definitely seen some races, the culture is changing, from a mom and pop, fun little thing, and then it kind of gets big. Right. So, like I always look at like El Vaquero with Ty Draney. He's always kept that like yours, low key, fun. You don't have all the bells and whistles, but you're there to run.
No, but you have good burgers and Huckleberry soda is awesome.
That's tough to beat. But then you see some that were smaller. There's some races out there I've always wanted to run for years, but now I don't. And it's just because now they're a little too big, and I'm not into the, some of those things. That's just not my style.
That attracts, obviously a certain set of people that like all that hype and want to run with 1,000 of their closest friends. No, no desire to do that.
That's
at all.
And then like I said, it's not like if that's your thing, I think that's awesome. But like just the way I want to do things, it's really not mine. So there are a few races now I look at and said, man, I missed my window. For my enjoyment. There's still great races, still great events, but for my enjoyment, a lot of times if I'm looking at a race, I'm like, what's the cap? Right. What's the results from last year? And there's a race I was looking at, and they had 37 finishers last year. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking at this one, right? Because it's low key. That's
my kind of race,
exactly. And again, not for everybody, but that's where I've seen a lot of the changes. And that's what's maybe the beauty of so many events is you can pick and choose.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
If that's not your style, like you've said, don't do it.
And when I think about it, the number, when you look at how many ultras there are in this country now, and worldwide for that matter, but I don't know. I've only run one international race, and that was a pretty cool one. That was Squamish 50K.
Oh yeah, BC.
50K. Yeah, that was cool. I still think the vast majority of them are like your mom and pop operations.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few big races owned by big companies and all that, but I think those are, and they get all the press.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let them have it.
Well, and I think too, you have, live streaming we've talked about. So now you can watch stuff on YouTube with commentators. I never thought that day would come, because I would love to commentate a trail event. I think that'd be like, I love that world. And I'm like, man, I would love that gig to go around and you have to have tidbits and color commentary, right?
You have to know.
Yeah, because you're like, all right, runner 147, they're running on the dirt. They're coming in. So you got to have fun with it. And I think that's what would be fun for me. But I've never been one to really watch it. I've always enjoyed tracking my friends. Right. But I think watching, I'm like, okay, I never thought it would come to this. And it's just interesting to see that change.
I'm waiting for either a 50K or 100K to make it into the Olympics.
I just wonder why it's not.
This next go around or 4 years after that. I think it's going to happen.
Well, I think it should when I look at a lot of the events in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And maybe it is because I do enjoy trail running, but there's some out there going, okay, why is that in and this isn't? Because there's already running type events, so it's just that next step. And some of the events I see in there, I'm like, I thought they had breakdancing one year or something like that. I thought I saw her something. I'm like, what?
Yeah, there was breakdancing in the last Olympics.
And I'm like, you know what? And if you're a breakdancer, I didn't either. But if you're a breakdancer, I'm not knocking you for sure. I think that's pretty cool. My joints don't move that way. But it's just on the trail running side. It's just interesting.
Well, the thing is and my wife's brought this up before. She goes, she would rarely come to my events. Mm-hmm. And it's because, and I fully understand, all I do is sit around and wait. There's nothing to do. I can volunteer, but really there's nothing to do. Yeah. And that's probably one of the reasons it's not in the Olympics, is because it's not visually exciting.
Yeah. It's not exciting when you're doing it a lot of time either.
Well, yeah, that's true too.
I get excited sometimes when I run, but sometimes I'm always like, oh my God, what the hell?
This is drudgery.
This is horrible. What are some things that RDs deal with that the runner doesn't know? What are things you've had to deal with that like the normal runner just, don't think about? Because, we're the runners, we're paying for an event. Like, what are some things like that?
All the negotiations that go into a permit.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I haven't had any bad ones.
Yeah.
But just as an example, Logan Peak, I have to file permits with City of Logan, Cache County, Forest Service. If I serve food, Bear River Health Department, just for that event, I have 4 permits. Antelope Island, I just get a permit from the park, and I get a permit from Davis County Health.
Okay.
And that's it. Wasatch, I think they have a whole binder full of permits
I would only
every year.
imagine. You got private.
They got private land and Forest Service and the Water Authority and who knows what else. State lands and UDOT, and they have to get permits for all of that. So I don't think people realize how much effort goes into just permitting.
Because it's not, what I know too, it's not about just filling out a piece of paper. There's a weighting game, there's a timing game, there's a impact game, like how many races are in the area. And that's why some places don't ever get approved for events or a cap on certain events. Because you do see that a lot is the permit side can be so tedious and it's a waiting game sometimes.
Yes.
Like, it's like, hey, I've done this before, da-da-da, and it's, okay, we'll let you know. And then it's crickets, or we'll let you know by X date. And so you got to wait for your registration to open. During that time, people are registering for other events, not yours.
Right, exactly. Thankfully, the current park manager out there on the island has already worked out the permits for next year's Buffalo Run with Finn and Julia.
Oh, nice. Well, there's the caveat. So Finn and Julia are taking over the Buffalo Run.
Yeah, and the fall race.
And the fall race. And they put on, currently they do the Twisted Fork, which is resurrected from when Canis did that.
Yes.
So they have put on an event before, and they'll be putting it on moving forward.
Correct.
Right, and that's going to be, right now they have the date set for March
28th.
28th. I'm back on a Saturday.
Yes.
Which is nice. So it is living on, just not with Karen behind the pot and the sticks making the buffalo stew.
I don't know what they're going to do as far as that goes.
Yeah.
It's their race. They can do what they want, and I'll certainly support them.
Well, let's talk about that. You moving on. Is it hard, or do you think it will get hard from moving on from the events?
For me personally?
Yeah.
It depends. Out course marking today or loading basically 1 ton of water into my pickup yesterday. No, I'm not going to miss that stuff. Not in the slightest. Getting all the supplies, organizing all the aid station stuff and all that. Yeah, I have it down because I've been doing it for so long, but no, I'm really not going to miss it.
Yeah.
What I'm going to miss is the actual race day.
Yeah.
I love seeing everybody come out. I love seeing, especially people that have come out for years. It just makes me happy.
Yeah.
To see runners come out and cross the finish line and start and all that. That's my reward for all the hard work is just race day.
Yeah. I could see that for sure. You've built for sure a legacy of this event, and it's known. You're known as the race director as much as it's known for the Buffalo Run and being on Antelope Island. So do you have a couple that come to mind? Because again, this is so many years. Is there some favorite memories that come to mind of the races? Maybe not even of the race, but build-ups and different things. I might be able to think of a few that but what are some of your favorite memories from that?
Oh, goodness. Well, one of them from way, way, way back when, John Mulmer, if you know who he is, he's a member of the Wasatch 100 committee, and he's a trail running fixture in this area and has been for literally decades. Came out, ran my 50-mile, I think it was the second year. And he was on the trail patrol with me, still is. And the assistant park manager followed him up to the finish line in a park ranger truck with the lights going and the siren on, which we all thought was kind of funny. He just did it as a joke to John. And I might add that park manager is now the assistant director for state parks for the state.
Oh, that's
Chris Harriman.
Yeah, I work with Chris.
But he was fun to work with. What was it? 2 years ago, the snow squall.
Oh yeah.
Where I canceled it mid-race. Mm-hmm. That one really comes to mind because it's fairly fresh.
Sure.
For the 10th anniversary, I actually had a live band. If you remember,
Yep.
Corey and his friends came out and played a set. What else? There's just a lot. I don't know. What are some of yours?
Well, mine was, fortunately I was there, it was the iconic picture of Earl pinning the guy against the fence.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we watched that transpire for about 5 minutes before it happened.
You were down there?
Yeah, we were there. Yeah. Yeah, we were.
I was up in the tent.
Yeah, we were watching the whole thing, and I think that, and then you quickly called the park ranger, and that guy came walking right by us like nothing ever happened. You know?
Yeah.
He just got stomped by a bison against a fence, and he just kind of walked by like, "Hey guys." I have
gotten so much mileage out of that picture.
Oh, for sure.
So much.
That was it made the news. It was everything.
It went worldwide.
Yeah, but that was one of my memories for sure. But honestly, for me, I think truly the first year will always be my most memorable, my slowest time at the 25K for sure. But I think for me, it'll always boil down to the different times I got to spend with friends at the finish line. Yep. You know, a couple miles on the course. I actually really enjoyed, one of the times me and Joel Hatch were out there doing a training run, because you put on some training runs in the wintertime for people, and we were out there and we were running because we're really smart. We were running Lakeshore, where it goes all the way straight, flat the whole time to the ranch. Mountain View. And we saw a storm coming in, and we thought we had like 45 minutes, and it was 15 is what we had. So we were running back in a blizzard. We couldn't see 2 feet in front of our face. So it was just always fun out there for those favorite memories for the race. So what's next then? So you're done. This is your last putting on your race series this weekend. Mm-hmm. What's next? You've moved to Wisconsin. Yeah,
we moved to Wisconsin. We have a house about 4.5 acres. I haven't had a chance yet because we just moved there about 6 weeks ago. But I'll be checking out the trail running scene back there. There's a couple of local 50Ks that I'm gonna poke my nose in and see what's going on, and who knows? I mean, I say no more race directing, but I'll just caveat that and say, for now,
if it happens, it happens.
If it happens, it happens. Who knows? But it's just, and then I'm also planning on coming out next March and actually running the 50K.
Well, there you go, March 28th, 2026. You can come out and run the race. Which race you doing?
50K.
50K. Jim's going to run the 50K, so come on out, and you can just run with Jim, the original race director that hasn't run his race yet.
No, I never have. And if you want a really, really slow time, I can guarantee it.
And Jim's giving out, and he's giving out discount codes. Well, Jim, I got something for you that I've been working on. Okay. So we talked about what are your favorite memories from the race. Well, I reached out to a handful of people on the down low. Uh-oh. And so I've got some memories for you.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to read these off, and there's a few people that were kind enough to send some stuff in. So the first one, it says, Jim, your races were more than finish lines. They were starting lines for something deeper. My first 25K trail race, second 50-miler, and first 100-miler all happened under your watch. But what struck me the most wasn't the distance, it was the community you built. I've run every single one of your races and distances, but you didn't just organize events, you created a space where strangers became friends and runners became family. Thank you for giving us a place to find our limits and each other. That 100-miler was the race of my life, not just because of the speed or the place I got, but because I was surrounded by friends all over the island, cheering, crewing, running at aid stations, and nothing hit quite like that buffalo stew Karen made at the finish line. Warm, wild, and earned. I'm very grateful for every memory, every mile, and the friendships that have lasted longer than those damn blisters. And that was from Annie McDonald.
Oh, and she's going to be out here this weekend.
Yeah. I got another one. Jim is always cool, calm, and collective, which is my polar opposite. That's why I consider him one of my dearest friends, because I could go for a run with him and get centered again. I cherished all my runs with him. He's an inspiring individual who looks at life always wanting to learn more, which in turn makes me learn fun facts and become more of an interesting person. Jim is 100% a truly amazing person who makes me happy to call a friend, and that's from Misty. The next one, so many memories. My first ultra, epic back and forth battle with Bryce in the 50 miler we still talk about today, but mostly all the great people I met either volunteering or racing. He built an awesome community out there that really felt like home. Definitely a huge part of my life and won't be forgotten, and I think about it every time I look across the lake. I'm not sure I'll ever forgive him for all the miles across the mud flat in the fall 100K though. So monotonously heinous, but definitely a unique race. BJ Burleson. In honor of my friend Jim Skaggs, the longtime race director of the Buffalo Run Race Series, whose retirement marks the end of an incredible chapter in our trail running community. I had the privilege of running the 50-mile race 3 times and the 100-mile race once, and each experiences were unforgettable. Not just for the challenge, but for the care and spirit Jim brought to every event. From a well-stocked aid station to the legendary bison stew at the finish line that Karen made, Jim made sure every runner felt supported, welcomed, and part of something special. Jim didn't just organize races, he built a community. His passion for the sport, attention to detail, and genuine kindness made the Buffalo Run Series more than a race. It became a tradition for hundreds of runners, and behind the scenes, we all appreciated Karen, who was a constant source of support, helping make it all possible. Thank you, Jim, for the miles, the memories, and legacy you left behind on Antelope Island. Your impact will continue to run strong in every step we take out there. Enjoy the next chapter in your life. You've more than earned it. That's from Curtis Thompson.
Nice.
One memory I have about Jim is really about an article he wrote and posted about Misty and myself during a 100-mile race. Basically, it was that we were doing 30 to 36 hours and what other people might be doing with their everyday life during the same time frame. That really meant a lot to me. That's from Forrest Stewart. I first met Jim in 2010, and little did I know that he'd be such an important part of so many fun trail adventures. Zion, Bryce, Bear, Logan, Wasatch, Speedgoat, Beaverhead, almost too many to count. I gained so much of my confidence by logging some quality miles with Jim. And although he's leaving Utah and his time at the most his time as the most well-known RD draws to an end, I'll have a lifelong friend. Jim and his lovely wife, Karen, are an institution, and I hope Wisconsin realizes how fortunate it is to have the Skaggs family settle in there. Andrea Stevens.
Yeah, she's my volunteer coordinator this weekend.
And we got one more. The Buffalo Run 25K was my first ever trail race, the first in 2006, and my second ever race because I ran a 5K in Moab. I had no idea the path it would set me on, both personally and professionally. It was definitely a gateway drug. I have got to witness firsthand what your races have meant to an entire community. Your races never lost the focus of the sport and what the sport actually means. From finish lines made from bison pies to Earl reminding people who's boss, you and Karen built something so much more than an event. I have lifelong friendships, endless stories, and feats I could have never thought possible. Thank you for your vision and stewardship to trail running. You have left the community much better than you found it, and through that, I might have just found myself. That was from Eric Manning. So you guys have left a huge imprint on so many lives, and I think sometimes that gets forgotten. Like, trail running is not just a sport. It's some people, it's who they are and what they do, and to building that community. So I know I speak for so many people, which I will do and feel comfortable with, but I think we all appreciate what you were able to do here. And not just with the races, but the friendship. We've done beer miles. We've had the Hummer group. We've done some really not smart things that I'm hopefully aging out of a little bit more.
Probably because we can't do them anymore.
Or maybe have a little more sense.
Well,
that's what I
like to think that we don't have more sense. We just realize that we just physically can't do them now.
Well, I'm trying to turn back the clock on that, but no, we're super pumped. I'm excited. that you're coming back in March to run your own race. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But I think when I speak, it's awesome. But as you've said, like Buffalo Runs, Logan Peak, Harriman, those are all in new hands. Mm-hmm. They've all been passed on to other people, so the races will live on. But I don't think the legacy will always be, what you built there. So thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
It was super fun to hear some of the other stories because I've been around it since day one and on the outside, but hearing some of the inside stuff's always a good time. So. So good luck in Wisconsin. I'm trying to find a trail race out there still or nearby.
Afton 50K.
That's when I actually looked at that after you told me. I was like, I'm going to check that one out now.
I think 20 minutes down the road.
I saw some ones in Duluth. Is that close?
Goodness, I think Duluth's 2-3 hours away.
Okay, that's too far for me. But yeah, thanks for coming on. Episode 340.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been that many episodes since you started this.
Well, it's been a lot of time off, a lot of changes, but yeah, 340 episodes. That's a few.
That's quite a few.
And we got a few more in the coming up. So, thanks for joining. Thanks for everything, and enjoy your Hams beer.
I will do that.
Thanks for listening to the Trail Manners podcast. If you love trails as much as we do, make sure to follow Trail Manners on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, or swing by trailmanners.com for more stories, gear, donations, and ways to support the show. Got an idea, a favorite story, or someone we should talk to? Hit the contact page or email me at trailmanners@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, share it with your crew, subscribe wherever you listen, and drop a quick rating or review. Every little bit helps to keep this show running. Until next time, I'm Eric Manning reminding you, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. Now go get it.